Well, I like to start off with the easy questions first and then move to the more difficult stuff. So what I'd like to talk about this morning is, what is reality? What's the meaning of life? That sort of thing. In all mystical traditions, no matter where it is in the world, and for thousands of years, people have been describing reality in pretty much the same way, whether it was an Australian Aborigine or an American Indian or a Christian monk or a Hindu or a Taoist or wherever they are in the world. It's interesting that people have kind of come to very similar descriptions of reality regardless of what culture they were from. And the first thing that they always say is that the universe is made up of one energy, that everything is the vibration, the flux, the dance, the play, whatever word you like, of one energy. And this energy is everywhere, and it makes up everything. It's everywhere, and it's every when. And despite the way things may look, despite the fact that it looks like there's this multiplicity of things, they really are all the play of one energy. And even quantum mechanic physicists now are saying the same thing, that when it really comes right down to it, everything is coming out of just one thing. There's just this one dance going on. So all of these traditions start from this one premise. There's just one energy, and everything is an aspect of it. Everything is a vibration of it. But they go further than that. They also say that this one energy is aware, that it's conscious, that it's aware of its own existence, and even that it's aware that it is this one energy. So you have one energy that's everywhere, every when, and it's aware of that. It's aware of its existence. It's aware of itself. It's conscious, in other words. And then they add a third aspect to this. They say that, okay, now if there's one energy and it's everywhere, then it has nowhere to go because it's everywhere already. And if it's every when, then there's really no past, no future. It's just always now. So there's nothing to be afraid of. There's nothing to regret. There's really nothing that can bother it, because there's nothing outside of it that can be in opposition to it, because it's everything. And as a result of this, as a result of being one energy, aware of itself, being everywhere, at all times, nowhere to go, nothing to get, nothing to lose, nothing to be attached to or to want, because it's already everything. Because of that, that one energy is happy, peaceful. In Hindu terminology, they say that reality is Sat Chit Ananda. Sat means this idea of there being one energy. Chit is the idea of consciousness or awareness, and Ananda is the idea of happiness or bliss. So for thousands and thousands of years, mystical teachers have been telling people there's one energy in the universe, it's aware of itself, being everything, and because of that it's happy and peaceful. And then they add the real kicker that really bothers everybody. They say, and this one energy is who you are. And then somebody in the back row raises their hand and says, well, wait a minute now. If I'm this one energy everywhere, everywhen, and because of that I'm happy and peaceful and all that, then why do I feel so crummy so often? This doesn't make sense to me that I'm this one dancing, frolicking, happy, peaceful energy, because I feel like crap a great deal of the time. Well, the teacher has an answer for this one too. He throws it back in their lap by saying, you are experiencing what you're experiencing because of your mind. Your mind is in the way of experiencing your true nature. And then they would give the disciple a whole procedure that could take a lifetime or more to move through in order to get the mind out of the way so that they could experience this reality directly. And this is the description that all the mystics give of what reality is. And most people find it very disconcerting in one way or another if they really seriously consider it. Now, the next thing that they say is that at the moment of creation, this one energy polarized itself into a seeming duality. And that's where the appearance of multiplicity came from. And if you stop to think about it, this universe that we live in is made up of all of these dualities, all of these situations that are like two sides of a coin. You have good and you have evil. You have up and you have down. You have here and there. You have me and not me. And thousands of other polarities. The interesting thing about these polarities is that they seem like they are in opposition to each other. Good versus evil is, the most popular one that people consider. However, each side of the polarity makes no sense and in fact is dependent on the other one for its existence. And they're really one thing, not two things in opposition necessarily. If you have a coin, you can't have a one-sided coin. There's no way to have a coin that doesn't have the other side. The two sides are dependent on each other. Good makes no sense at all without evil. Evil makes no sense without good. Here makes no sense without there. Here only makes sense in relation to something, some other place. I only makes sense in relation to not I. But what the mystics say, though, is that this whole dance of duality, this whole play of duality, is really that. It's a play. It's something we're pretending. We kind of live in this world of duality and then kind of forget that we made it up. And part of the awakening that happens through this program and through many other spiritual practices is not that you're just sort of floating through the universe as a blob of jello or something. It's that you are able to, as they say, I think in the Bible, be in the world but not of it. You're in the world of duality, but you realize that it's just something that you're doing as like a character in a play. And I'll talk about this analogy of a play later because I think it's a very helpful one in figuring out how to be in the world but not get into all the suffering of the world. Let me check my notes here and see if I'm leaving anything out. Now this whole notion of duality and the fact that each side of the duality is really one with the other side, and that the two are dependent on each other, that neither side of the duality can exist without the other side, is a very, very important concept. The idea that good cannot exist without evil, for instance, is real crucial to understanding who you are and why you're here and all of that. Now, it's really interesting to me that this whole notion of duality is also reflected even in your body. You know, we have this bilateral symmetry where you know, we have a left side and a right side, and they kind of match each other. And this is particularly reflected in the brain, where we have, you know, a left hemisphere and a right hemisphere, and they're only connected by this little tiny piece of tissue called the corpus callosum.